Hello, I'm Dr. Sabine Wünschmann, the holistic obstetrician and gynecologist, and I'm here today to talk to you about the gut. You might wonder, why is a gynecologist talking about the gut? But I feel, and I've seen in my clinical practice for many years, that the gut is one of the major columns that we actually need to address to achieve hormonal balance, and this is really what we're looking for. And I'm here today with Esco Essence, who's a plant-based whole food chef, and it's a great and exciting combination to talk from a medical perspective about the tips and tricks and experience of such a wonderful and experienced chef and help us to fix our kitchens. The gut is something that a lot of people, they don't really connect to their hormonal balance, and they think if they go to the toilet once a day that their gut is working fine. And we know, and there's so much more evidence out there in the recent years with a lot of research and a lot of experience of many specialties, that optimizing the gut health and providing the best possible food for the gut is really of the most important essence for the well-being of the gut. I see in my practice, for example, women that they come with recurrent infections vaginally, they have yeast infections, they have itching, they have burning, they have been given, medications, suppositories, antibiotics for years and years, and yet again, they get again and again the symptoms, and it's not a life-threatening condition. That's not something that you will really, have serious health issues with, but it really reduces your life quality to a great deal. And if I then, make the turn to the gut and address their gut balance and their health in their gut, it makes a whole difference in their life. And that's why we're here together. I thank you very much for coming today, because I'm a gynecologist and I'm not such an experienced chef, even though I'm a mother of 4 children and I spend also a lot of time in the kitchen. But I think the outlook of a whole food, plant-based chef on a practical way to give us really some guidance of what we should do in the kitchen and on our plates is of such big importance. When I talk to my pregnant ladies about sprouting, which is such an amazing, simple source of bringing the food to life, people look at me as if I'm talking, that I'm creating something very, very weird. They've never heard about it, and I would like your input on what would you think is an easy way that is practical and it's efficient for women, for human beings to do in their kitchen to help and optimize the gut health. This is Esco Essence.
Thank you, Sabina. I'm really glad that I'm here and share with you this conversation. And I think the topic is really important. That, the gut, as far as I understand from my own personal experience, and most of my cooking I've done till now has shown me that, it's really, really important on daily basis how you eat and how it makes you feel. So what you mentioned about the sprouting, that it's, really not so popular and well known, but it's really, really natural way of actually eating. Because the seeds, especially when they are really good quality, they have so good and pure information inside, and when we sprout them, they become alive. It's like the seed has this potentiality to become a plant, and when we activate it, by example here what I have done is the mung beans. So I have put them into water about 6 hours, and during this time the membrane of the seed will kind of like flush out the enzyme inhibitors which are preventing the mung bean from sprouting. So when it's like naturally outside with rain example, when the rain comes, the seed is kind of washed, it gets water and it starts sprouting naturally. So this is what is happening, and after when the seeds they start sprouting, they will multiply with nutrition, and they are really loaded with living enzymes There's so many antioxidants and phytochemicals that are really, really vital for our body.
It's amazing. I mean, this is actually, for people to understand, this is a very simple glass jar, which we call a sprouting glass. It's kind of covered with, the lid has, it can be either, a net. You
could use a cloth even to close it and put a rubber band.
It's very, very simple. No specific, equipment needed. And here you go. And to activate the food and to activate the nutrients, as you very well say, is really, the whole key of it. And we can actually provide our gut with nutrients readily available. Bioavailability is so much higher when they're activated. And that's a very nice way of doing it. So what else are you sprouting? I mean, these are mung beans.
These are mung beans, yeah.
Which are also extremely rich in iron.
Yeah.
So instead of, pumping yourself with, synthetic iron, you can just have mung sprouts, which I always tell to the pregnant ladies. And here you go. You don't need any other sources.
No soil needed, no sunlight needed, no fertilizers. Nothing.
Wool.
You just need a jar basically, and you soak them for 6 hours minimum, the mung beans.
In room temperature.
In room temperature, yeah. So you put clean, pure water and you let it sit there for 6 hours. And after that you go on your sink and you just empty it. And then you let this bean stay inside the jar, and you want all the water come out. They don't want to be sitting inside the water when they are in the jar. And after that,
just to keep the humidity a little bit.
Yes, and actually the most important is that they need a little bit nurturing and care. So you have to make the effort then, like 2 or 3 times a day at least. You will have to apply again a little bit of water and rinse them. Just rinse it. First is the soaking the first 6 hours, and after that you just kind of watering a plant. And they start growing, and 3 to 5 days they are ready to eat when you see the white root coming out from the seeds.
It actually looks like a little sperm, actually.
Yeah,
it has the body, and you eat everything. I mean, you don't cut anything away. You eat the whole thing, and it's crunchy. It's refreshing. It's really tasty. I mean, my children, they eat it like that, and they really like it. So, and then what you do, you can use them in sandwiches. You can use them in the salads. You can eat them by themselves.
Exactly, they're a great snack, and take even a small jar with you and have them during the day. Usually you would store them in the fridge after they have become mature, like 3 to 5 days, and then you have to put them in the fridge to cool down the temperature.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, if they keep growing, it will become a mature plant after that. So the benefits is that you can keep them for a few days in your fridge after they have grown mature, and they will be preserved. And because these are beans, and what happens with beans is that when the seed is sprouted, it will go into the earth. And it will push up to make the plant above the earth and go to the sun to make the photosynthesis. So the beans, we don't want the plant above. No beans, we don't sprout them that they will make leaves. Only the root come out, and then it's ready to eat. Like chickpeas, black-eyed beans, white beans, any of them, you can sprout them, but most of the beans are quite heavy to digest. Mung bean is a very exceptional bean. It becomes really easily digestible.
And when you say you should have good quality of seeds, what do you mean exactly?
You would not just buy them from the contemporary market. You would go to rather a special company that produce seeds made for sprouting, because their percentage to sprout is much higher, like 90% will sprout. Commercial seeds maybe 50%, sometimes less or more.
So you would have 50% of the seeds that would actually not sprout.
Exactly. So you would want to have a high quality seed where the genetics from the farm where they cultivate the seed are really high quality. So also there is more nutrients. It's really similar to any seed that is given to the next generation, let's say.
Wonderful. So this is the whole, aspect of sprouting, which applies to so many
I can show you. I have here, like, these are the sunflower seeds.
Delicious.
You can try one.
Yes, thank you.
And then we have sinapi, which is one different one. And then we have another type of sinapi, and also pea shoots. So there's a lot of variety. You can have there's so many variety. You can check some companies which are online, and you can find more information with seeds you can grow.
Suitable.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different systems that are self-regulating then the watering, because they need quite often humidity. They are so baby size still that they are very fragile. So they need like a nice temperature. You wouldn't want them to have cold weather, like below 15 degrees. They will start slowing down. They don't grow so well. And if the temperature go very much high, above 35, then you start having soaking. They are not growing so well. So really the optimum is somewhere like 20 to 35 degrees.
And not necessarily sunlight, really. I mean, no.
These ones which are making the leaves, these are ready to make photosynthesis. Without sunlight, actually, they are yellow. But when they get the light, they will make some chlorophyll, and then they will turn completely green.
Right. I mean, so sprouting, the foods become alive. They have so many more nutrients. The bioavailability is so much higher. And then you can also use the sprouts and ferment them, because another very important aspect of giving the right food to our beloved gut is fermenting. So tell us a little bit, Esco, about what we do to ferment.
Yeah.
And why we ferment. Why do we want fermentation?
Very good question. The fermenting is actually one of the oldest ways of preserving the food. Like in the ancient times, and not too long ago, people were doing that on daily basis. Like that was the way to store the food for later. Even the sailors that used to travel maritime culture, and they travel over the seas, long journeys. They had the scurvy, which was, like they had some broken skin and some other symptoms from that, and the solution was the vitamin C. So what they did was they did sour cabbage, like xenolahano in Greek, this type of food, which is really, really high in vitamin C, and it stores so well. It stays, in the jar from here to over the seas. And they could have some of that every day and get vitamin C, which is water-soluble vitamin, and quickly used by the body. So we need it like often, daily basis. So about the fermenting, you mentioned the sprouts, like the mung bean sprouts that we started sprouting. Here in the jar we have some mature ones. The mature ones, so this way I can store them a lot longer time. In the fridge, maybe 10 days the maximum. If I give them some humidity, they will last. But in the jar, and then put into this almi, which is actually a saline, like salty water, which we do about 5% of salts, in the water, and you can store them like months, maybe longer time, and then you can add any spices you want, so you can make it even more tasty and more interesting, and do some variety, which is quite exciting actually.
And the fermenting process for the gut, what does that mean?
For the gut, the fermenting is really, really important, because in these fermented foods, what we are doing actually is we are cultivating beneficial bacteria, which is the probiotics commonly come from yogurt or supplements perhaps that are acidifidus, bifidus. There is a lot of different strains, and while fermenting, we are cultivating this kind of beneficial bacteria. So fermented foods can supply our digestive system with all the beneficial bacteria that will keep the gut in good health.
Because let's not forget, in the gut, it's a very vivid neighborhood, and they have good bacteria and they have bad bacteria that they live together. And depending on, the stress levels, depending on the food that you're providing to your gut, there might be an imbalance, and this imbalance between good and bad bacteria, if we want to say it very simply, can create a lot of havoc for the endocrine health, because the gut to a very big degree is our biggest brain, and it's also the biggest source of the production of serotonin, which a lot of people are not aware. And serotonin is the hormone that makes us to see the world in a happier way. And, it's the hormone that all the antidepressants actually work on. And so if we actually give our body and our gut the right nutrients and the right fermentation, sprouts, and way of eating so that we can actually produce our own serotonin, we are in such better place. Don't you agree? I mean, it would make such a difference.
I feel that I have years of experience on personal level because this is the way I eat, and I prepare and cook food in this way. And it's definitely the way to go because it's so much easier when you feel light and you're joyous on daily basis because you know your digestive system, the gut is in it's more balanced. You know, there's not so much those ups and downs and havoc of unbeneficial bacteria. Like you know for sure, like all the symptoms of yeast infections and candida.
Yeah, I mean they're bloating, they're in pain, they need to take reflux medication, they have, you know, secretions, discharge, headaches, you know, depression. I mean, we can talk until tomorrow about the list of symptoms.
Exactly. So the whole point is how to balance that, you know, because if the digestive system is not feeling well, usually we don't feel well either. Like it affects our state of mind, the way we think, the way we feel.
But you know, many patients and you know, women that I talk to, they feel that they go to the bathroom, they've done perhaps even a colonoscopy, and everything is fine. But you know, a colonoscopy would really see anatomical structural changes that of course would not be in any way wanted, but they do not really address the fine-tuning of the gut. And you know, we need to look after the membranes in the gut so that the absorption from the gut into the bloodstream is actually optimized. And that's where we take the nutrients to build our bones, to have our hormonal balance, and all of that is so important. I see here also that you have a glass with almonds, and I would like you to explain to us why they're in water and not just on the plate.
Yeah, it's something quite interesting actually what's happening here. The almonds are really high and rich in protein matter, like they have a lot of amino acids so our body can build its own protein. And the difference is just if the almonds would be on the plate and they would be dry, if I would eat them, I would have to chew them much more. They are not, they are hard, they are dry, they are bitter, they have all these qualities. But it's strangely enough, you know, quite amazing what happens when you put them into water. They are kind of activated, like the other seeds for sprouting example, or the beans we so typically soak inside the water. So it's really, really the natural process what we should do in order to optimize the assimilation of the nutrients from these foods. Like the almonds and the other brown skin nuts like hazelnuts, walnuts, Brazil nuts, you know, they are much more bioavailable, the nutrients, if you just soak them at least 8 hours, you know, in the water, the brown skin ones.
And what about the skin? You take the skin off?
It's just fiber, you know, after the soaking. Before it's soaked, it actually where all the enzyme inhibitors are stored in the surface, the skin of the almond. So after that they become alive and soft and really tender and fresh tasting, really nice.
Very good. So that's the whole motto, right? To be alive and joyful.
Exactly. That would mean that you would be feeling healthy, because I think healthy is to be balanced and to be, you know, it's a good feeling to have. You know, you don't feel that, you know, your gut is not working, you know, you don't feel sluggish, you're not tired, you have energy. So the energy what you get, it's coming from this kind of foods, like the sprouts example, like it's loaded with energy and alive enzymes and nutrients. Like your body is just craving for that, because if you're not getting them, you're gonna have, you know, deficiency, and usually that comes out in cravings and in hunger and constantly something you want. But if you are eating foods that doesn't contain the nutrients, you're not getting it.
I mean, a lot of talk, and I can't stop eating those, really, they're delicious.
They're quite actually,
really nice.
You might get used to eating them, David.
There's a lot of talk about, you know, the life expectancy, and that, you know, we have achieved this amazing, you know, target that we live so much longer. And it's a great thing that we have this wonderful longer life expectancy. But what I would like to make as a motto for all of our viewers, and, you know, including ourselves, of course, that we don't only have a life expectancy, but we also have a health expectancy. So if we are in the very nice position that we live so much longer, we might as well start looking after our body so much more consciously and not just stuff whatever's around. You know, I feel hungrier and I'm just going to a little store and, you know, stuff myself with things that are available. You need to plan it. Also have things with you that, you know, when you're actually hungry, that you don't find yourself in this position that you need to go and you just grab some chips and, you know, and you don't really look after yourself. So it does need a certain degree of planning, which is okay. But we want health expectancy, not only life expectancy.
I agree with you.
The vinegar is also one of my favorites. Would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, this is actually an apple cider vinegar. It's not from grapes, like commonly the grape vinegar is used. This has the difference that it's alkalizing. The acidity is 5. Like lemon is quite low acid as well, but you know, after we digest it, because of the low content of sugars, actually it's quite alkalizing for our body. So it doesn't create that kind of the pH is quite important. Like our body, like we said before, it's when it's healthy, it's balanced, and you know, there's a lot of things going on. So all these things need to be in like harmony together so we can have the healthy feeling. So one of the ways to like really balance the diet is the pH, like the acid and alkaline.
Big thing, I mean...
Big thing. We could dive deep into that and talk about it for hours also, but you know, just on the basic line would be that to keep it alkalizing, and these whole plant-based foods are mostly alkalizing. That's a big difference.
And it's so important because acidity is really where disease grows.
Yeah.
So alkaline and, you know, alkalining your whole body in the best way you can is a big target.
Yes.
And the vinegar, especially the apple vinegar, is also very good for parasites, isn't it?
It is. It really creates a healthier environment inside the gut, so the parasites don't really feel great. Like, they don't like the alkalizing environment. Like, the acid environment is for the pathogenic activity and bacteria that is unfavorable. Yeah, we don't want that.
We don't want that.
So we can have even 1 teaspoon or tablespoon in a glass of water by itself, and you would instantly, if you have like acid flux in your belly, you would feel the neutralizing effect it has.
It's a very good thing actually to do in the morning.
Yeah.
To have a little warm glass of water with a teaspoon of apple vinegar, and you know, start your day with an alkaline, you know, outlook. Wonderful. I think that is really, you know, that is really very practical things. I think we need to meet again and again, Esco, because I think we have a lot of things to say, but that is for today, because we would like you to take with you the idea of sprouting, of fermenting, of alkalizing, and really being aware of what you put into your body is really who you are. And it's the only thing that we can actually, you know, greatly influence. So
that's our choice. Yeah, we have to do it on a daily basis. So if you are already alert and aware of these things, I think it makes it a lot easier to make the choices that will, you know, give you the benefits you so much deserve to feel healthy and live, you know, good life.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Likewise,
it was really
Sabine.
great. Thank you. Thank you.